Hey everybody, welcome back to Rules Road Podcast. My name is David Schuler and today is episode 10. And today we have a very special guest. His name is Anthony Chagolla. Now, anyone who knows anything about wrestling in the state of Arizona, if you were to ask them, "Hey, give me a list of your top 5, family names, family legacies in the state of Arizona," Chagolla is going to be near the top of every one of those lists. And Anthony is trying to you know, step out and create his own name for his own self while holding on to that family legacy. And that's what we're going to talk about today because Anthony's starting up his own club, Chagolla Trained Wrestling. And to hear his story and how, you know, at the age that he has, he's only like 2 years out of high school, and to hear and see his maturity at this age, it's just something that you can't help but admire and just as a person just respect because he's very mature. I mean, he the sky's only the limit for this kid, and he's already standing on the shoulders of giants. So uh, just to hear his story, it's phenomenal. And and I know that as a high school wrestling coach and someone who helps run a club in the spring and summer, that you can't sit there and consider him a rival by any means. It's more, I like to think of it as competition because he he's creating opportunities for people that may not have already existed. Whether it's just having a new club in the general location, or he's already brought in some of the one of the biggest names in wrestling so far, Mike Mao, and he just brought in a two-time NAIA champ. And those are names you're like you probably would not have thought to come in, and especially to see what he's doing with just the limited time that his club's been going on. You can't sit there and just help but be proud of this kid. I mean, he's definitely got a plan, and he's doing something that's very special. He's gonna help grow the sport of wrestling in Arizona. And now we've had a handful of big names come out, but nothing like the wrestling in Arizona. It's nothing like how it would be in, say, California or on the East Coast. And it's good, but it can be a lot better. It's big, but it's only big within its circle. And just to see someone who's just like I said, just growing the sport, you can't help but be proud of him. I'm very proud of this kid, and I'll tell you what, everything that he's done, like I said, it's going to be exciting to see what he does and how he goes about it. And I know he was, glad to take time out of his day to let me tell his story, but I'm just equally grateful that he's just going to go ahead and do it because, like I said, I'm a fan of what he's doing, and it's going to be something special. Like I said already, the sky's the limit for this kid, and he's already standing on the shoulders of giants. He's got a very good support system throughout his own family and, other people in the wrestling community in Arizona. There's no reason that in the next couple of years he's going to have one of the top clubs in Arizona, and definitely wish this kid the best of luck. And in closing, I kind of just want to point out that a lot of times people live fast, busy lives, and not so much selfish. It's just that's the routine. And for some people, look around what's going on with this COVID crisis. It's really forcing people to kind of slow down and reevaluate their lives. But some people aren't doing that. And I guess the one thing I'd like to kind of point out is people need to, appreciate the time they have with the people that they have. Um, I had a death in my family a couple months ago. Still kind of numb to it in some aspect. My wife just had a death in her family which is still very fresh. And neither one of these are COVID related, but no one really knows what or when, how they're going to go, how someone else is going to go, or just time missed in general. I've seen people, like, say after a person dies, they post a picture and go, cherish every moment. But it's like, you were never at Thanksgiving, you were never at Christmas, you never called, you never checked in. I mean, you were never around. Kind of being hypocritical. So don't be that hypocrite. Take time. Whether it's every week. If all my family, they live 2,000 miles away, and I make it a point to try to call my mom and my grandma, and my dad every week or so, because I don't know when it's going to happen, and I don't know what's going to happen to me or happen to them, and a lot of people don't. And they just kind of take time for granted, and so. But then also as a parent, you kind of get so caught in this life, just trying to survive and pay bills. You kind of miss a lot of things as your child grows because you're so busy trying to make things happen. You're like, oh, well, they're young. They won't remember, if I'm not doing this or I'm not doing that. But the thing is, you remember that stuff. And, just, I guess what I'm just trying to get at is, guys, take some time and appreciate what you do have. I kind of talked about it before, is giving, being grateful for the people that help you. But then also, just, a lot of people, they kind of forget, and don't be that person. And so, but yeah, okay. Anywho, episode 10, Anthony Chagolla Trained Wrestling Club. Like I said, I'm very proud of what this kid is doing, and I'm excited to see how it goes. He's already creating something special in the past couple of months that he's already been going on. And just to see how this kid is going to go, in the future. Like I said, it's the honor of telling his story. I take that seriously. And, I'm very looking forward to see what it is. And so at the end of this episode, got a slideshow of a couple pictures of some of the things that are going on in his club, and his information, his contact information. I'll put it in the description, and he also states it at the end. So if I highly encourage people that if you're thinking about getting into wrestling, or someone that does, or even if you already belong to a wrestling club, you can go to this one as well. More exposure. We're going to see, have other practice partners. You're going to have, see different ideas, learn different things. Don't pigeonhole yourself to one thing. Get out there, get to know people, different styles. You're going to learn a trick or two. And, that being said, thank you. I hope you enjoy this episode. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Rules of Road Podcast, episode 10. And today we're with Anthony Chagolla. Now, as I said in my intro, anyone who knows anything about wrestling in the state of Arizona, if you were to ask them what's your top 5 families in the state, Chagolla is going to be at the top of, near the top of every one of those lists. And today, like I said, we have Anthony Chagolla, who's starting his own wrestling club, following in, his family legacy. And that kind of leads us right into our first question. It says, Anthony, you've grown up in one of the biggest wrestling family legacies in Arizona. Anyone who knows anything about wrestling knows the name Chagolla. What is your vision to create a name for yourself while holding true to that legacy?
Well, my vision for the future of my name later on down the road is, yes, to keep our family name alive, in the wrestling world. But what's most important to me is to look back on this journey and, to see how many people's lives I've changed or helped during this journey of mine, and how they conduct themselves in life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all good to be a champion, on the mat, but it's about being a champion in life. You know what I mean? That's what's important to me. A quote that I live off of, is, how do you want to be remembered? And that hits the home basically to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So, that's some very good stuff. I mean, that's the one thing I that most people don't realize when it comes to wrestling is that, it teaches you more about life than any sport. Next question. So, as I just said, you're starting up your own club. What has been the biggest challenge of kind of getting your club up and going so far?
I'd say the biggest challenge for me personally is, was not to listen to like all the doubters, and critics that say negative things about, what I'm doing or about me, because I'm young, obviously. I'm 20 years old, and they just think I don't have enough experience or any of that. But, at the end of the day, I can lay down in my bed and, and know that I'm going to make a change and I'm doing something positive.
Yeah. So, that kind of leads us into our next question. Every interview I try to do, the name Rules of the Road in the podcast is I want to try to, highlight a certain area or a certain mentality of something. And that kind of leads me into the next question. What is your rules of the road for countering the argument, since you weren't a state champ and since you're not or haven't, no plans in wrestling in college, what do you say to someone who says that, your club isn't legitimate per se? Say, for instance, got someone new into town and they're looking for a club and say, hey, tell me about this club. And they look you up and go, it's just some guy. What do you say to that?
All I have to say is, yeah, you're correct. I wasn't a state champ. I was close twice, fell short, but it doesn't take away the fact that I know wrestling. I've been around it since age, 6 or 7. And, I had multiple offers to go wrestle at the next level after my senior season, and I just couldn't take them, I wouldn't feel right because, my daughter was born, but after my season and, in my gut, I knew what I had to do, and she's more important. So I declined every offer I had. It hurt, because I've been doing it my whole life and we're looking forward to it. But at the end of the day, I know what I'm doing is right. And yeah, thinking about it, it's tough, but I know what I'm doing is right. And if I left them, I feel like it'd be selfish on my part. So, that's that. But to answer, your question, about our club, it's not just a, hey, pull up and scrap kind of thing. It's like, it's far from that, It's not a free-for-all in there. It's a well-conducted practice that, me and my assistant coach, Andres Avila, run. We get the boys, we make them get sprints to get their bodies warm, open up their lungs, and then we head to the backyard, hit a couple, 15, 20 rounds of weight circuits, push them there, and then, we hit the mat, work. We work on repetitive drilling, positions, certain situations that I see when they're wrestling, because details is key. That's how you get better, is focusing on the little things.
Yeah.
And at the end of practice, we do go live. We go like 1 minute goes, 45-second goes, or takedown turns, stuff like that. But the garage is definitely getting tough. There's a lot of tough guys in there. It's a mix of college and high school. So it's best of both worlds. Like, there's kids from all over that come. There's a kid from Thoroughbred, a couple Grindhouse kids come. So it's good to see that. I like that because it's a bunch of different styles. And you can't ask for anything better than that. You're gonna get better regardless.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of leads me to like an old saying, people, and we'll kind of touch on this in a little bit later, but I've always found that just because, the most successful people, like say the most successful wrestlers, don't always end up being a great coach. And that's kind of how I take it. Just because you were at the top of that podium doesn't mean that you can teach people. So let's break away from that really quick and move on to something maybe, a little bit more, might put a little bit of smile on your face. So, what is your all-time favorite match that you've been in? Maybe not so one that's been like so much sentimental, but one you look back and you're like, you know what, that was awesome. Just the best fun, most type of hype match that you've ever had.
I'd have to say me versus Armando Delgado from Desert Vista.
Yeah.
Pure Invite. It was kind of like a redemption match. He beat me at Moon Valley in the semifinals, and that stung because I was seed number 1 there. I was not supposed to lose, but he was the better man that day. So, and that was my last ride. It was my senior year. So when we met at Peoria, there was no way he was beating me again. So it was an awesome match. I mean, we were going back and forth, and at the very end, I came on top with the crazy scramble, and it was awesome. You know, it's probably like my highlight match. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
Tough guy. He won 4 Wells back to back.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, he was definitely, definitely someone to, you had to definitely tangle with. So next question. Any plans on coaching and maybe in a more formal position down the road, or like right now, are you just kind of just focusing on doing your club and doing your thing?
I think in the future, if it's the right time, I would maybe consider like doing high school coaching. But as of right now, I would just plan on focusing on the club for now because, in like my personal opinion, there's a lot of politics in high school wrestling. You know, you got to be careful what you say, you know, or how you do. And you know, at the club, I like to run it how I run it, you know, and I'm more comfortable there, you know, and it works with my life schedule, you know. That's why I got it down packed. So, you know, no one really understands, you know, it's challenging to attend college because I attend college, the work, you know, be a coach / mentor, you know, be a husband and a father all at the same time at a young age, you know, it's pretty challenging. So I think of right now, I think I'm just going to focus on the club. But once I, you know, get done with college, maybe look, you know, a different direction. But as of right now, that's what I'm at right now.
No, it doesn't get any easier at my age, I'll tell you, but I can only imagine how it is, you know, for there. So my next question kind of hits back on a topic that we were kind of just talking about, but you know, it says, you know, those who can't play coach, and those who can't coach sit in the stands and talk trash. As you know, someone who grew up in a wrestling family, so you've seen it growing up, and then you've wrestled on the mat. And now you're running your own club. What are your thoughts about that statement?
Looking on, you know, both viewpoints, you know, from wrestling on the mat and now coaching. To me, coaching's a gift, you know. It's either like you have it or you don't. Like touching back on that quote you said earlier is, you know, not every great athlete can coach, you know. And to myself, I think that's true. You know what I mean? Like coaching is a gift, you know. Not everyone can make a kid or an athlete, you know, believe in themselves so much where like you say, hey, you can run through that brick wall, and they believe it. They'll run through it, you know. And I was lucky and blessed to be mentored and coached by my Uncle Mario, where he changed my life and, you know, shaped who I am today. You know, and he's done that with many other kids. You know, like I said, you know, he has the gift of coaching. That's what I truly believe.
Yeah, and that's the one thing is like a lot of what I've noticed is people will say that out of people. It's probably because they like almost like they don't know a lot about you, or like they just see like that snapshot of a first impression or whatever. Like, you know, and I know it myself. You know, my dad was a state champion and he wrestled in college. I fell short to injury, and now, as you know, my son, who's actually gone to a couple of your practices, you know, he's going to be wrestling in college. So, you know, just because I may not have had the same success as my father or my son doesn't mean that, you know, I grew up in that same situation. So it doesn't mean anything less. And, you know, just to hear you kind of say the same things just kind of, you know, resonates that and just gives proof that, you know, it doesn't matter, you know, what you've done, because you never know. But the fact of the matter is like you were saying, if you're willing to coach and you can find a way to get someone to believe in themselves, that's kind of bigger than anything that can be accomplished on the mat. So next question. So even though, and I know this, you know, it's just fairly young, but, you know, even though your club has only been going for, you know, a handful of months, has there been any days where you're just like, what the hell am I doing? Or like you just don't want to get out of bed? I mean, how do you face those days?
I love what I do, and, you know, I started the club, you know, a couple months ago, and it's awesome. You know, I started off with 2 kids, and now I'm up to 16. So it's kind of expanded in a short amount of time, which is kind of like nerve-wracking sometimes. You know, there's always new faces, but I enjoy it. But, you know, I love wrestling. You know, I've never had a day where I'm, you know, dragging or don't want to do it because I enjoy what I do. I don't see it as a job. It's something I love, and it's awesome because, we recently had, Mike Mao from Flow Wrestling at the club. It was an incredible experience. I look up to that guy, watch videos of him because he has an eye for wrestling many don't have.
Yeah.
And then this weekend, we're having, Anthony Orozco, 2X, national champ from Menlo College, coming down to do a free clinic. And, that's just, to me, God's blessings, and not too many people can say they're in a position I am, that they're happy with what they're doing, and I'm just
Yeah.
blessed.
I saw Roscoe's last championship, and that dude is just a stud. So that's
Yeah.
the kid, whoever goes to that is just definitely gonna learn something. Earlier I asked you about your favorite match. Now, what's a match that you'd like to get back again and just do it all over?
Man, I'd have to say that my senior year, my state semifinals against Safford. That one kind of stung because I was very, very close, and things might have not went my way during that match.
Mm-hmm.
But as they say, you get what you earn. So if I had a chance, I'd do it again.
Yeah. So earlier you mentioned that your Uncle Mario was a big inspiration. Who is someone else that would be another inspiration to you? Or
There's a couple. There's probably about before I started this club, I reached out to Danny Vega. We had a Cyclones. And he picked his brain. What should I do? How should I do? And I was very blessed. He talked to me for a long time at Mile High and gave me insights, and I truly appreciated that guy. And what he's doing, and he's helped me too. And then same thing with LC at Grindhouse. I went to a couple of practices and watched how he just maneuvers practice, and picked his brain a bit. He helped me out too with some wall pads, and those guys inspire me. It's not easy what they're doing, and and it inspires me a lot to continue what I'm doing. Because they've made a huge impact in Arizona wrestling, and one of these days I know I'll be up there with them.
Yeah.
And my family, my mom, dad, my wife, they inspire me too. Like they're right behind me this whole journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm blessed with that.
Yeah. And so speaking of growing your club, obviously your club has some true grassroots movement, and anyone who's like I say, you've seen your posts, and you're lifting weights in your backyard around your daughter's toys, and trying to not drop weights on your slide or whatever, and you're wrestling in your garage right now. But what is this end vision that you have for your club?
My goal is to another opportunity or pathway for Arizona as a whole to produce high quality wrestlers, and and I have goals. In 2 to 3 years I want to have my own facility, so I don't have to worry about lifting weights around my daughter's toys. And I know deep down inside I'm gonna make it happen one way or another. But that's my end goal. Is just another outlet, a pathway for to produce some top quality guys, or to help out top quality guys as well.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking about your daughter's toys, your daughter, she's like what, 2 or so, give or take?
Yeah, 2.
We've seen posts about your daughter shooting single legs and whatever. So when she gets to competition age, and say she wants to wrestle and follow in that Chagolla legacy, are you going to get involved in girls wrestling as an advocate, or are you going to kind of maybe leave that up to people that specialize in girls wrestling?
Yeah, if my daughter wants to, I'm not going to force her. I'm going to put her in gymnastics. If anything, I think it's very important for kids. I wish I would have done gymnastics, but yeah, my daughter understands wrestling. It's crazy. She'll sit there. She knows what a takedown is. She does singles, like you said, front headlocks, and knows what sprawls. She even recognized Mike Mall from Flow Wrestling. She said wrestling TV and pointed at him. It amazed me. But if she wants to wrestle, it's game on. I'm gonna make sure do anything I can to make sure she's successful. or, in wrestling or anything she does. But as far as goes wrestling, if I had a chance to, coach a girls team, why not? Why not take the opportunity? I think girls wrestling is awesome. It's another outlet to grow the sport. So I would say, yeah, I'd get involved.
Yeah. So we talked a lot about success. What is, I guess we can kind of tailor this towards wrestling or to your club, but what's been your biggest failure so far, and what did you learn from it?
My biggest failure, let's see. I think letting negativity get to me. When I first started, like I said in the beginning, people, talking down on me, or, just hearsay things. I think I let it affect me a lot, where I got to the point where I was like, man, I don't even want to do this anymore, but, I just had a long, deep talk within myself, and I said, you know what? I'm going to do what makes me happy, and I have a vision. I'm going to make it happen regardless. And I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. People can keep saying what they're saying, but at the end, I know I'm going to make a positive impact.
Yeah.
That's what I learned from that.
And then speaking of that, what is some advice, that you would give to somebody who, maybe wants to see this and they're like, maybe I want to start my own wrestling club in the future. What's some advice that you would give, and maybe some lessons that you've learned along the way so far?
I would definitely say go to people that have more experience than you. Pick their brains. Don't be afraid to ask questions. And, don't feel insecure, that you're asking someone else for advice. Because, when I asked, Danny Vega and, LC, they were more than willing to, give me insights and help me out. And I think that's important. You don't want to – it's not – that saying's true. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
And I really believe in that. And, that's one advice I'd give them. And another advice is, don't be afraid to stick your neck out and, follow your dreams. Don't let anything or anyone, distract your vision. I think that's important.
And the one thing I'd like to add on to that is I've learned, especially in my professional career, and also, definitely you can also attest to this in wrestling, where you said it's not what you know, it's who you know. I would probably take that a step further and I say it's not who you know, it's who knows you. Because if you're like, if someone thinks that maybe you're a nobody, they might not be willing to help you. But if someone knows who you are, then, that benefit kind of helps go away. And the only way to kind of do that is, to make those, to build those relationships earlier. And you got to market yourself, because if you just sit there and wait, well, like say, for instance, say with your club, say kids weren't showing up. It's like, okay, maybe you're not doing it correctly, and maybe you're not marketing yourself, and if you like saying we're talking about Danny Vega and LC, if they didn't know who you are, maybe they wouldn't be helping you as much as they do. So that's what I like to tell people is, hey, get out there, talk to people, because you never know when you're going to need their help. So that brings us close to a close. I definitely want to give you, I wish you the best of luck. Like I said, I know my son fairly well. He's gone to a couple of your practices, and myself having a club at the high school, I would definitely think just growing the sport. I don't look at it as rivals per se, as much as more competition down the road. So that I definitely want to wish you the best of luck. But before we go, I have a couple quick fire questions I like to call short time. And so I got 4 quick fire questions, maybe 1-2 word answers. So if you're ready, we'll go ahead and knock it out real quick.
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Favorite wrestling move?
Single leg.
The one thing that you must eat after wrestling season is over?
Ooh, Texas Roadhouse.
The one show your daughter watches that you aren't afraid to admit that you like?
Trolls Holiday.
Your favorite song to listen to before a match?
All Eyes on Me by Tupac.
Very good song. Grew up with it my high school days. So that brings us to a close. Well, almost a close. So where can people find out more about your club? Email address, social media? Where can they find you?
Social media, our Instagram's at Chagolla Trained Wrestling, and same thing for Facebook, at Chagolla Trained Wrestling on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And our Gmail is chagollatrained@gmail.com
Okay.
to find out more information.
And then, just go ahead and let's take it home. Take about 30 seconds and come out with like some sort of closing thoughts. The floor is yours. 30 seconds, closing thoughts about anything.
Oh, well, first off, I'd like to, thank you for letting me on your podcast and sharing my story. I find it awesome to be able to do this, and to connect with you more, and, talking and sharing, thoughts back and forth about wrestling. I really appreciate this. And I hope to one day, build a strong wrestling club program, for the state of Arizona.
Yeah.
Just to help the state more,
Yep.
Because right now we're building, we're getting there. We have studs here and there, but I know in the future we're gonna be a powerhouse if we keep going the way we're going. I think that's important.
Well, I definitely wish you the best luck, and you start seeing some of these tournaments and whatnot. But again, thank you, Anthony, for your time. Like I said, wish you the best luck, and just thank you again. And if you ever need anything, you know where to find me, then just to reach out to anybody else. So everyone that's watching Chagolla Trained Wrestling, you saw it, I'll put the links in the descriptions. You can find it out. If you live in the west side of the Phoenix Valley, or even if you're in the east side, who cares? Look him up, check it out. Thank you.
Thank you.